at Benport, like commercial dispatch. Obviously, you've had opportunities to go other places from Washington State. Why was this the spot that you chose, and what went into the decision to come to Mississippi State?
Why I chose Mississippi State, and you know, the cowbell represents a lot of the pride and tradition that personifies this place, and I guess there's so many ways to describe that. You know, they put the symbol under the cowbell, and that means more than we really have time to talk about here, but it's something that even as an outsider you feel. And then the commitment to football that the state of Mississippi has and the entire southeast region, and then the athletes that you have the opportunity to be a part of here, and they only become that way through incredibly hard work and dedication, and I wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted to have the opportunity to you know, have another chapter in my career, and we all, you know, why do you play sports? Whether you're a player or a coach, is to have the opportunity to see or do something bigger than you currently are as you fight and scratch to achieve. And so, you know, this is a place with great resources and a great opportunity, in my opinion, to do that.
Hey Mike, Tyler Horka, Jackson Clarion Ledger. Your offense is an attack in Washington State, obviously, or, you know, have had a lot of success, and there's something built in a way that folks around here probably have never seen. How feasible is it to, you know, right away implement an offense like that here, given, you know, the players that are here and the culture that's already been in place?
I'll be able to give you a pretty good, a better answer after about a week of spring. We've always been able to install it fast. I don't think it'll be perfect within a week, but I think it'll be fairly sharp within 2 weeks. And but you know, it's not going to be perfect. I mean, that's why we're in this. You're always grinding away. But as far as seeing our offense, and we've been doing it for a long time, but you know, a lot of NFL teams have adopted it. You know, if you look at the Patriots, the Saints, the Packers, you know, and generally speaking, the last most of the Super Bowls for the last 8-10 years have had some air raid concepts in it. We originally grew it from the wishbone, and you know, offensively, 2 objectives that we're trying to achieve. As we want to attack as much space as possible, and we want to put it in all the skill positions' hands. And you know, so the thought very simply, the more people the defense has to keep track of over a bigger area, the better our chances are. And so I don't know if as you guys come up with a good play to do that, maybe we'll cut one of the ones we got and we'll add yours. We do that from time to time.
Other questions? We'll go to the back.
Hey Mike, Trey Munger, WLBT in Jackson. Kind of piggybacking off of that question. The SEC in the past has kind of been a conference that's relied on defense, but over like the last 5 or so years, it's really seen an uptick in offense. I guess, what have you seen from afar in that, and then coming over here, I guess, was there something that, you know, excited you about that?
I think it's a little of both. You know, I think conferences and teams will go kind of in cycles. You know, I remember when I was the offensive coordinator at the University of Kentucky, we led the nation in passing, you know, and then threw it a lot there, and I thought elevated things there at the University of Kentucky for the 2 years I had the opportunity to be there. And then, you know, and then there were some balls flying around then. Of course, you had Florida throwing it quite a bit then too. And, you know, and the biggest thing as an offensive coach, we used to refer to it as build a better mousetrap. You know, how do we build the mousetrap better, we used to say. You know, just, you know, building a better mousetrap. Well, if we, and we would even say stuff like, well, if we run a post on that play, that'll help the mousetrap, you see. And the biggest thing, always trying to, we spend most of our time talking about how we're going to practice and how we're going to duplicate and reinforce those skills and repetition over and over. But then, you know, we also talk quite a bit about, you know, how we're gonna find ways to attack space, and, you know, sometimes you'll have a real special player, you know, like our running back this last year had an awful lot of yards, and if you don't count the kickoff returns, he led the Pac-12 in yards, and, you know, so if you got a special player, you're trying to get the ball in his hands as many times as you can, and devising ways to do it. And what I like about what we do offensively is you got some flexibility in how to do that.
Go to Joel, your coaches there.
Joel Coleman, Starkville Daily News. Have you had a chance to solidify your staff yet and things? Will any of the current staff members possibly be retained and things? Just kind of what's your timeline on staff?
Well, the timeline's as soon as possible. And obviously for some positions I have some people in mind, and you know, and it's always tough. And I've been on both sides of this coin, and I have the utmost admiration for everybody that's worked here, because I know what a struggle it is to be a coach. And, you know, you live and die on each game, and always trying to do the very best you can. So I couldn't have more respect, you know, for my predecessors and what they did, and what everybody strived to achieve. But then with the course of that, I mean, I've got also there's some coaches that I know that I'm familiar with that I think will best you know, duplicate what we're trying to achieve offensively and defensively. And so you know, definitely some that I've worked with in the past. So I don't have a perfect answer for that. I've been here for, I don't know if it's 24 hours, maybe it's in and but no, that's the top priority, is you've got to get the staff organized so you can duplicate your efforts and take care of the team, and just really start integrating you know, what we want to teach and accomplish.
Go over here to Coach's right.
Hey Coach, I'm Garrett Smith with the student newspaper, The Reflector. I was wondering if you've thought about whether or not you'll be bringing your class on insurgent warfare and what tactics.
I'll tell you what, that would be fun. I had a blast. So I taught a class last year, and that was a blast. Taught a class with Senator Mike Baumgartner, state senator there in the state of Washington, who went to Harvard and used to work for the State Department, and he taught some courses on insurgency and counterinsurgency. And you know, we come around and practice all the time, sit through our meetings. I knew he was dedicated when, you know, sit through those film meetings where, although necessary, I myself was trying to sort out a way to make it go as fast as I could. And so he says, you know, football and insurgency and counterinsurgency have a lot of similarities. So we taught a class, and it was ridiculously exciting for me, because what our format was Mike would talk about some of the principles of insurgency, counterinsurgency, then I talked about football, you know, and here'd be football. All right, we're playing so and so. We've got to fortify this. We've got to take care of that. We can't let them attack here. We've got to get them here. Once we get them moving here, we're going here. Boom! You know, and so for my position, my part was relatively easy. Then we'd have guest speakers in there, and you know, like we had the guy that was instrumental in busting the shoe bomber and the Boston Marathon bomber from Homeland Security. We had an Air Force survival specialist, people that had been in Afghanistan. And so we really had some, you know, and what would happen, what I liked about the class, I'd learn a lot. So I'd sit there and, you know, my part, like, all right, as soon as my part's over, then I can, you know, it'll get interesting because I can hear something. Well, you know, and it was just captivating, and I'd leave with more questions and answers, listening to the quality guys that came and spoke there. We had some of the past quarterbacks come and talk. Jack Thompson, who is a true hero of mine, was one of them. You might remember him as the throwing Samoan. Jack was one of the very first Island guys to play college football, and just truly outstanding figure and example there at Washington State. His friendship I've always valued, but he gave just a really compelling speech about being a guy, you know, from a different culture and a different place, and how he integrated himself in the state of Washington with kind of the rural setting and all that stuff. And just, you know, you meet so many great people, and, you know, you can learn something from anybody, and these were people where you learn what to do rather than what not to do. So I thought it was very good.
We'll go over here and get coaches right with Alex, and then we'll come back to the left.
Alex Starkville with ESPN. How do you foresee building the recruiting operation here, and how important do you think it is to hire guys with SEC experience in this area?
Well, I think, first of all, they've done a lot of good things recruiting here. I mean, you know, they've really done a fine job, I think, recruiting here over the years. So there's going to be a lot of things that we need to maintain. I mean, you know, and maintain and continue, and then elevate as we see opportunities. I think that the most important element of recruiting is persistence and relationships, and I think that you know, those type of people are the ones that are the best recruiters, and you know, and I think that you know, I've been all over the country, and you know, a guy that really wants to recruit and it's meaningful and that has a sincere message, I think they can recruit. But then also, with that said, I think it's important that we have some people that know the ropes around the area too. So I would say a combination of all of it. I mean, the first and foremost, I want good quality people that are dedicated recruiters, but then and then, you know, a mixture of we've got to have some really strong guys, X and O wise on the field, discipline, focus, you know, and that pulls the unit together. The most important thing is what you can do together. I mean, sometimes people remember a key individual here, a key individual there, but it's, you know, that's one thing I really felt like Gardner Minshew did year before last when we won 11 games, a place where they, you know, they didn't think you could go to a bowl, but we won 11, and he was a really good example of a guy that could elevate the people around him, and then and as that happens, everybody's stronger.
Go back here.
Mike, Garrett Couch, Commercial Dispatch. I'm just wondering if you've had a chance to revisit the visitors' locker room and it's been
I did experience one disappointment when I came to Mississippi State, and that would be that last night I wanted to go down memory lane to that old visitors' locker room, the artistry of which I truly admire. I mean that sincerely. Maybe my taste and view on football and sports are a little different than others, but the old visitors' locker room at Mississippi State was literally a work of art, and now it's an office. So, and as far as I'm concerned, that's sacred ground, because you know you always go to the visitors' locker room, and obviously if you're the home team, you want to have the most advantageous visitors' locker room you possibly can, and you know, nowadays, in these kinder and gentler days, it was utterly outstanding, and I mean, just the thought that went into it, the malicious intent, hey, it's tough to play on the road attitude. Yep, and I counted them, and if I recall right, 37 nails in a concrete block, 2 toilets with no seats or no lids in the middle, and 1 roll of toilet paper. I could not wait to go, and I was convinced that here I'd have the opportunity to enjoy the fruits of a locker room of that magnitude, and I am disappointed that. Well, because, you know, the thing with football, there's all these memories, there's stuff you remember, you see, you remember all your life, you know, and that's one of them. And then, of course, we can get into SMU's locker room, and that's an entirely other story. But and I'm sure we'll have time to talk about that at some point. But no, I was slightly disappointed that the greatest visitors locker room of all time is no more.
Go to Ben, coaches left here.
Mike Benport, my commercial dispatch again. Obviously, you've been known to use the transfer portal for quarterbacks. Obviously, it's early with looking at the roster. Do you anticipate looking into the transfer portal for quarterbacks this year, and have you kind of addressed that at all?
Well, we'll look at the transfer portal. The transfer portal is a new resource nowadays. You know, I mean, it's both positive and negative, but it can be a resource, and I don't think it can be ignored really for any position. I mean, football is a competitive sport, and you're always trying to upgrade, and of course everybody, you know, regardless of position, you know, remembers somebody that played or from whenever. But you know, if you can upgrade, I mean, that's the point of a team game. And I know a lot of guys have aspirations to play in the National Football League and stuff like that. You're in a competitive situation, and for the overall good of the entire Mississippi State family, anywhere we can upgrade, if we can find somebody that can do that, that's not a resource that can be ignored. So, yeah, we'll look at the portal and see what's out there in all positions. And from my experience, a lot of times the guys, you know, on the portal, they're trying to get an opportunity to play. You know, maybe they're lower in the depth chart, but other times, you know, sometimes it's a fit situation. And so I don't think it can be ignored. It's now a factor in recruiting and kind of a reality of our business. And if you can upgrade from the portal, you need to do it.
Over here again, coaches left.
Hey Coach, Nick Suss with Clarion Ledger. You bring up being competitive. You're coaching in a division where with guys like Nick Saban, Gus Malzahn, Jimbo Fisher, and Kiffin right down the road. How exciting is that for you, and how much of a factor is that in taking this job? And then how familiar are you with Lane from your days back in the Pac-12 together?
I've known Lane for a long time. I've actually known Lane when he was a GA for Pete Carroll. And I've always liked Lane. And I know that, you know, you're not supposed to like anything from Ole Miss, but you know, I've always liked him, kind of an entertaining guy. And then, you know, all those guys I know, you know, and then, you know, and this conference is loaded with quality coaches. That's what makes it exciting. But the fact of the matter is I came from a conference loaded with quality coaches too, not to diminish either conference. You know, I mean, the resources vary, the opportunities vary, but you know, I like playing against crummy coaches better than but you know, as I look around these conferences, there's no hiding from good coaches. You're going to run into a good coach, and you're going to have to fight like crazy at every conference you're in with regard to the quality of some of these coaches. Yeah, you don't want to get bit by him, I'll tell you that. I mean, that's the dog version of like the leather jacket. He'd be like the Fonzie of Bulldogs.
We'll go to the back.
Hey Mike, Matt Casey, WTBA. So in the past, you've done a ranking of different mascots. Where do the Bulldogs fall in terms of the Mike Leach's rankings of mascots?
Oh, geez, I got a really good joke, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm trying to think. Well, first of all, you know, I will tell you the punchline of the joke. The punchline of the joke was, "That dog will bite you." But I'll tell you this. I mean, you know, they call them Bulldogs for a reason, and you know, and they're built for combat, and you know, and I know a lot of you know, young kids a lot of times start out afraid of them, maybe for good reason, and so and I know I'm scared of this one, so I'm glad I represent it.
Go over here, coach's left again with Tyler.
Hey, Mike, Tyler Worth, Clarion Ledger again. Going back to Lane Kiffin, what was your perception of the Egg Bowl coming into this? Obviously, you coached at places with big rivalries. Apple Park, you just came from, but here, Mississippi State, Ole Miss is a pretty big rivalry. A lot of people care about it. What's your perception of it?
Well, I think it's huge. I think it's huge, and I think there's, you know, everywhere you kind of have your rivalries, and you know, it's and then you know, the better you get, the more rivalries you have, because everybody wants to get a piece of you, and so we want to, you know, we want to put out a quality enough product that, and it'll take a couple of years, but where you consistently beat some teams to where everybody feels like they're your rival. But I think, you know, Ole Miss is right down the road. Ole Miss is a place that Mississippi State's always taken a great deal of pride in leading, and you know, we want to elevate that. We want to, you know, it's very important to all of us to win the Egg Bowl. But the best way to play in that Egg Bowl is get better every day.
Over here to the right, Logan and then Dan.
Logan Lauer, Daily Journal, Tupelo. Just what are your initial impressions of the roster that you're inherited?
My initial impressions, and they are initial, is that they're good. I mean, the thing, you know, I mean, good solid football players. I knew a good a coach, old school coach from Florida State. He used to say, "We're looking for runners and hitters." And just looking at it, there's definitely some runners and hitters on this team. And I'll tell you, some of these guys, like, and you know, I've always been told I had reasonably big hands, but I shake hands with some of these guys, you know, and you know, and I feel like I'm 10. And so, and we got some big hands and long levers, and which is arms. That's football for arms. I mean, I'm excited about the chance to coach them, and I think a lot of things that are exciting about coaching is discovery. One, discovery of what somebody's capable of, because a lot of times they're discovering that at the same time you are, because everybody can work harder than they think they can. Everybody's a little better than they think they are. And then the other thing is as players grow and develop and things from one day to the next, pretty soon, you know, they can do something they couldn't do before, and they didn't think they'd be able to. So I mean, that's exciting. I mean, there's a lot of discovery in this business, and I think that's what keeps you interested. I think addiction would be a better word, but you know, because your coaches get addicted. You know, I mean, all the time you see people retire, and it's tough on them, and some of these guys get reeled back in all the time.
Over here to Danny.
Danny Smith, Starkville News. Welcome to Starkville, Mississippi State.
Thank you.
Just talk about, John said about discipline was one of the things that attracted you. Just talk about the philosophy of that piece, what it means to you.
You know, I mean, it kind of depends, you know, specifically what happens. The quick answer is accountability. I mean, everybody's got to be accountable, and it's got to be an equal level of accountability. And you know, I've always thought that you know, whatever's the undesired behavior, you got to make sure the desired behavior is easier. You know, if you want guys to go to class, you got to make sure that not going to class becomes really inconvenient. And whether it's having somebody do more or taking something away that they want, you know, and you just got to make it more convenient to do the thing that's right, because in the long run, everybody wants the same thing. And I think sometimes that needs to be illustrated. Everybody wants the same thing as far as being the best that they can possibly be, and down deep they want it. It's like following that path can get hard, but you got to make it inconvenient to stray from the path, you know.
Coach has time for a couple more. We'll go to the right.
Okay. Ryan Phillips, Starkville Daily News. Hey, Coach, welcome to Starkville. You've already been making your rounds. I know you went to George Sherman today or yesterday. So, how would you rate your first
what do you
24
think of the suit?
Very sharp.
Don't get real used to that part of it.
How would you rate your first 24 hours here, kind of making the rounds in the community?
I think it's outstanding. I mean, it's what a great college town is. I mean, it's all Bulldogs 24 hours a day, and whether it's football or whether it's academics or whether it's other sports or the other thing, universities always have a dimension where there's a lot of things. You've got the Grant Library here, you've got museums, exhibits that come through here, great lecturers, people that know something. I'm sure, obviously a bunch of people have written some great books around here. Professors and things and some of their research. I can tell you right now, Coach Polk wrote a great book, okay? And so there's some minds in whatever industry they're in, or interest, not industry's wrong, but interest, that are just outstanding. And anytime people are pursuing knowledge and thought, a lot of good things come out of it generally.
We'll go to Brian here in the front.
Coach Brian Haddad, Super Talk, Mississippi. What's the most important factor for a coach when he's deciding to take a new job? What was something that would have been a deal breaker if it wasn't here, or something that they have this, so I'm going to take this job?
You're always really conflicted because, you create great relationships with, your previous team and coaches, fans, and some things like that. But then the other side of it is you're going to be dead in 100 years anyway. And so, you want to try to have as many experiences as you can. And everybody's got goals and things that they want to accomplish. And so, it is kind of a path. And then, and really, I guess in my case, I just wanted different experiences, although I'll always cherish the experiences that I had previously. And I think that the departure is the hardest, because even though you see it as captivating and life lessons to have a different experience, go to a different place, different set of problems, do different things, opportunity to work with different people, different part of the country, but part of the country I've always loved, having gotten my master's in Daphne, Alabama, at the United States Sports Academy, and coached at Valdosta, and then coached at Kentucky. I just wanted a part of that. I didn't want to get to miss that. Okay, and then I can't think of any really huge deal breakers. I mean, you want to have the ability to develop, your staff and your players without a lot of distractions, and of course that requires incredible support from the university and the administration, and I've worked for some great presidents and great ADs, and I truly believe that exists here. And you can look around this campus, the facility, and how spotless everything. I mean, this place is, I don't know how, some of you guys may need to get out more. If you take this, this is one of the cleanest campuses I've ever seen in my life. And I think that exhibits kind of the pride and the focus of the administration, to achieve big things. And working with them, I want to be a part of achieving some big things too. And like I say, that together with our players, because players and coaches are the same. I mean, you're partners, and we want to put together a the very best team that we can, and so that we can all be proud of and continue to build on it.